Away from the front lines in Ukraine, an unprecedented arms race is underway. Kyiv and Moscow have both sought to significantly ramp up production of unmanned systems as each side looks to outproduce their enemy and score a numerical advantage. But it's not just numbers, it's capability as well. While one senior Ukrainian official said technology is making a difference on the battlefield and is constantly going through evolutions. For the first time in human history, the tech war has moved at such a pace, Mikhailo Fedorov, Ukraine's Minister of Digital Transformation, said in translated remarks shared with media. He added, "It's more like a cat and mouse game now, with one side advancing over the other. Drones of all kinds have been invaluable in this war, with both sides using them regularly to complete a variety of battlefield tasks. Today, drones have become the front line in the Ukrainian war. Drones can carry out attacks, conducting surveillance, monitoring enemy troop movements, laying mines, dropping bombs." Ukraine have prioritized unmanned systems as a cheap but effective way to keep pace with the ever-evolving nature of this grinding conflict. Specifically, FPV drones have emerged as an ever-present threat on the modern battlefield. Ukraine have relied on these systems, oftentimes nothing more than a small quadcopter drone loaded up with explosives, as a cheap way to deliver precision strikes on enemy personnel positions and armor. In February, Fedorov said Ukraine will reach its FPV production goals by the end of the year. Some officials have said that Kyiv may actually eclipse these figures because the country is capable of producing 150,000 drones a month. Currently, from the Kharkiv direction, Ukraine is allocating significant resources to expedite advances in the Vovchansk direction, aiming for a decisive victory through the use of encirclement. In the northern area of Vovchansk, Russian forces have launched massive shelling on the citadel, aiming to reduce it to rubble and deprive the Ukrainians of this key stronghold. This intense bombardment threatens to compromise Ukrainian advances in this sector or even force a retreat from certain positions. Consequently, Ukrainian efforts have increasingly focused on the eastern part of Vovchansk, where they continue to make significant progress. Now efforts are ongoing to link the Ukrainian advance from the east of the city with the Tiki area, aiming to dislodge Russian forces from the hills. Footage from various Russian sources has shown intense aerial bombardments on Tiki, confirming that the village and its surroundings are under Ukrainian control. The small town of Tiki has emerged as a critical point for the Ukrainian command, particularly the road connecting it to Vovchansk. This road could be decisive in capturing the city due to the destruction of many bridges along the Vovcha River, which complicates the movement of armored vehicles to the northern part of the river. If Ukrainian forces can secure this road, they will be able to transport armored vehicles more easily to the city, potentially leading to the collapse of Russian defenses in the area. Aware of this strategic importance, Russian forces continue efforts to destroy bridges and pontoon crossings established by the Ukrainians east of Tiki, attempting to hinder their advance and supply lines. Simultaneously, Ukrainian forces have continued their offensive west of Vovchansk. Recent geolocated images reveal the assault and recapture of several areas in the center and south of Startsia, approximately 10 kilometers southwest of Vovchansk. While from footage shows an intense assault conducted by members of the 101st Guard Brigade, advancing house by house and employing a variety of weapons, including RPGs. This resulted in the complete destruction of many buildings, with some even being set ablaze. From the video shows very sensitive scenes that we can only show uncensored on our Telegram channel. Additionally, various Russian sources have recently updated their maps to acknowledge Ukrainian control over an extensive forest area west of Startsia, extending to the international border. Geolocated images depict a recent Russian aerial bombardment aimed at undermining Ukrainian positions in forested region, and the attack was successfully repelled by the Ukrainian troops. Staritsia is situated at the intersection of several significant forested areas and is in close proximity to the Siversky Donets River, limiting potential Russian lines of advance in this sector. If Ukrainian forces can establish a defensive zone in Staritsia, any large-scale Russian advance in the area would become virtually impossible. Combining the Ukrainian advances from Tiki in the east and Staritsia in the west, it appears that the Ukrainian command is preparing a major offensive to encircle and isolate Vovchansk, while recent reports of massing Ukrainian forces in this direction support this possibility. Additionally, a recent military analyst group report highlighted Russian efforts to establish new defensive trench lines about 2.5 kilometers inside Ukrainian territory, north of Vovchansk, and to construct new fortified trenches in the Russian-controlled area just west of Vovchansk. Ukrainian forces are well aware of these Russian efforts and have already destroyed at least 15 pieces of engineering equipment using FPV drones. These Russian fortification efforts indicate their intention to maintain their marginal advances from the international borders, anticipating an imminent Ukrainian offensive. Overall, the Ukrainian command is allocating significant resources to expedite advances in the Vovchansk direction, aiming for a decisive victory. Given the challenges of advancing and deploying armored vehicles through Vovchansk's northern urban area, Ukrainian forces appear to be planning an encirclement operation from Tiki in the east and the Staritsia area in the west. Under such conditions, the Russian decision to hold their positions in Vovchansk seems driven purely by political considerations. With their offensive in Vovchansk effectively contained and their attempt to connect the Liptsi and Vovchansk lines of advance having failed, the concept of a buffer zone has become untenable. Trying to maintain these two unconnected zones at a disproportionate cost in personnel and equipment lacks any strategic justification.